Okay, so line 24, have a look there. Jesus has this huge crowd of people following after him. And I mean, why wouldn't he? He's just performed this amazing miracle. He's given them a feast. And the reason the crowd are following him is because they're worried about where they're going to get their next meal from, right? That's what Jesus says to them. Have a look down at line 26. Can you see? Very truly I tell you, you are looking for me, not because you saw the signs I performed, but because you ate the loaves and had your fill. In other words, Jesus, he knows, right, that the crowd are just following him for another free lunch. But look at line 27. Jesus says to them, do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. So rather than chasing after food that spoils, Jesus encourages them to go after something else, to go after this food that endures for eternal life. See what he's saying? That there is food that spoils. In other words, there is food that doesn't last, and there is some kind of food that lasts forever. Now, you see what he's saying? That most things will satisfy temporarily, but there is something that is going to provide eternal satisfaction. And so Jesus looks at this crowd who are hungry for more actual bread, and he says, look, don't put all your time and energy into pursuing stuff that's just going to spoil, into temporary highs. Instead, you want to be about pursuing food that lasts, that endures forever. And that is something which the Son of Man, that's just a nickname for Jesus, will give them. Now, what is this food that lasts? What is this thing that Jesus seems to promise is going to satisfy their deepest longings? Well, in the next few sentences, in line 28 through 34, the crowd think that Jesus must be talking about some kind of physical bread, right? That it's some kind of heavenly manna, much like what God provided for his people centuries before when they were wandering in the desert. And so they say, line 34, Sir, always give us this bread. You know, what is this kind of special magic bread that provides life in a way that normal bread doesn't? But they're in for a surprise, because look at line 35. What is the food? What is the bread that leads to eternal life? Line 35. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. Jesus says that he is the bread of life, that he is the food that provides lasting eternal satisfaction, that he is what we need more than anything else. Now, I think we might miss the weight of this because we don't really understand bread. You know, we might like bread, but we don't need it in quite the same way as they did back then. In Jesus' day, no bread meant no life. If you didn't have bread, you didn't last very long. And so here's Jesus taking that image of the bread and saying, look, you want lasting spiritual life that satisfies your soul hunger? Come to me. Look at the staggering claim Jesus makes in line 35, that if you come to him, you will never be hungry. And he is talking, John Mayer, Tom Brady, deep down, where do I find a fix for this hunger? Gone. Now, don't mishear me, right? That doesn't mean that we won't ever feel dissatisfied with this earthly life. It doesn't mean that Christians are just kind of waltzing around with a permanent smile glued to their face. We will still feel longings that can't be fulfilled in this life. We will still long for friendship or family or financial security or whatever it might be. Ask any Christian you know, they will testify to that. But the thing is that those things won't consume us anymore, because in Jesus, our deepest longing will have been met. Which is what? Well, it's that Jesus came to fix that broken relationship with God. He came to restore our disordered loves, like we thought about earlier, knowing God and being known by him. How did he do that? Well, you've got to read on in John's account. And if you do, you'll discover that the whole mission of Jesus culminated in his death on a cross. Why? That he might bear the punishment for our willful rebellion against God in our place, meaning that we can be freely forgiven and restored back to right relationship with the one who made us. That is why Jesus came. Not to be an inspiring teacher or a good example, but to die in order that people who were once cut off from God might be freely brought back to him and have satisfying life as we were made for. And what are the terms and conditions to access this? Well, look at what Jesus says in line 35. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. That is it. Come to Jesus and believe. There's not a long checklist. There's not a set of rules and regulations. We just got to come to him wherever we're at and believe. And that is a promise that's for anyone. Do you see that? Whoever comes to him That means whatever you've done, that means however checkered your past might be, it means whether you're rich or poor or black or white or gay or straight or a man or a woman or young or old, whoever comes to Jesus and believes, they will find the satisfaction that their soul craves. And so get this, lasting soul satisfaction is on the table even today through believing in Jesus. Because Jesus came to restore us back to what we were made for, back to a relationship with God, and that is the beating heart of the Christian faith. And that's what this is all about, seeking to hold out that message of good news to anyone who wants to listen. It's why these kind of sessions exist, to give as many people as possible the chance to listen in and consider it for themselves, maybe even for the first time. As we land, if John Mayer walked on screen right now, after getting over my initial kind of starstruck awe and getting him to sign everything I own, I hope I'd pluck up the courage to say to him, listen mate, in that song, something is missing. You sing about trying to find joy and not knowing where it is or how to find it. But Jesus gives us the answer. He says to you, I am the source of lasting satisfaction if you believe in me. And look, whatever your preconceptions are of Christianity or of Jesus or the church or anything like that, that kind of claim absolutely has to be worth investigating, because if that is true, it changes everything.